Hi there, this is Sheena Rowlands sharing a video for Hey Little Magpie. This month I'm working with the Cocoa Vanilla Studio Daydream paper, and this one in particular is the Up in the Clouds paper. What I'm showing you here is, I didn't think you'd want to see all of it, but I've actually been sewing directly onto the paper. I'm going to give you some close-ups here. I've used 4 different stitches in 4 different colours, just to add a little bit of embellishment into every single rainbow. In fact, you'll find there's a couple missed. That's where I think I'm going to put my photograph. If not, I can come back and finish those at the end. So this is the embellished paper, and now I'm looking at how I can turn it into a layout. I don't know whether you've ever considered doing this. I just did not want to cut this rainbow paper up. I thought it was perfect, just as it was, but I added French knots, running stitch, cross stitch and back stitch. So easy stitches that anyone can do to the paper. So here I am looking through the die cut words that belong to this range. These are perfect because obviously everything matches. It's all available from Hey Little Magpie. You probably find you've already got it because it's such a beautiful range. I really felt like I needed all of it. So these die cut titles, I'm just going through to see what would suit my photograph. I'm not sure if it classes as vintage, but nearly. This photograph, I believe, is 19 years old. I can't believe it. I know my children don't look like this anymore, but when I imagine them, I still think of them as young. So here I am just looking through. You can make hundreds of titles for these words, so many different combinations. And it's going to take me a while, knowing me, to make some choices. Sweet, do I think they're sweet? Not all the time, particularly when they were younger. But your memories fade. So here I am making my final choice. But in fact, these titles will go on longer than the actual paper for me, I think, because I've used so much of their paper as backgrounds. So Little Family, I think, is what I stick with. I like the way those 2 die cuts sit together, so I think that's going to be my final choice. So then I go through the die cuts. I've already made 3 layouts with this range already, so some things are already missing and been used on other pages. So I'm going to have a look through, see what I would like to use with this picture of the children. It's difficult when you've spent so much time working on a background like I have with the sewing on this one. I don't really want to cover much of it up. So I'm thinking of having my photograph and embellishments running just along in a line at the lower part of the paper. So let me tidy away. And I've kept a few bits and pieces, a sun and a couple of houses there. I have a tendency to lay everything out first, decide on its placement before I actually do any sticking down. It's just a habit that I've got into. I don't know whether you see me sneak them in there. I've die cut a few white clouds, just using a metal die, just to go across as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is mat this photograph on a couple of pieces of paper from the 6x8 range. I do tend to buy the 6x8 pad or 6x6 pad to go with the range if it's available, just because I find them perfect with the smaller prints to back things, and it seems it's better than cutting into a 12x12. I know it sounds silly. Sometimes I do struggle to actually cut into a bigger piece of paper, so having a pad, and usually 2 of each papers, means that I can crack on and get started. So there's my photograph matted. I will have distressed the edges. I tend to be doing that a lot at the minute. And I'm getting ready to place it. Originally I was going to put it on foam pads, which is what you see me doing, but I think I actually end up pulling them back off again because it just feels it's sticking up too far. Let's see. I can literally hear my mind work when I watch at these videos backwards. Yeah, I'm not 100% happy with that, I can tell. But you know, there's no mistakes in scrapbooking. You can always change your mind. I'm already thinking about how I'd raise the title over the photograph. So I'm going to peel those foam pads off the back. As you can tell by me using an old photo, I don't scrap in chronological order or anything like that. I just scrap what I fancy, and I just felt that this paper needed maybe a child photo, or a younger photo, definitely, and that's what had me searching for this. In fact, it's not a great photo. It's scanned because obviously because of its age, and it was taken professionally. I don't have the negatives, so I've had to actually scan an image, but it's fine, printed at a smaller size. So I'm just getting my photo sorted. And I'll use some double-sided to get that stuck down. So I'm covering over one of the rainbows I haven't embellished. And sticking that photograph down. So now to get everything around it. Would you believe me if I told you this part of the video was actually speeded up? I know you can't tell that, it just shows how slow I move in real life. And I'm just going to tweak that position a little. I just want to make sure I can fit a house in on the left-hand side. In fact, I think it's the other house that makes the cut in the end. The tall, skinny one. So I'm going to reuse the foam pads I peeled off the photograph just to help get that title raised so that it can go over the top of the photograph. I tend to order my foam pads online. I've got them in two different heights, so to speak, both on a roll. I also end up cutting them up into small pieces. I know you can buy them smaller, but it's just a habit I've got into. It doesn't have to leave a mess around my desk and on the floor. Because I know you can't see it from this video, but I actually scrap standing up. It's something that I've done for years. I actually find it quite difficult when I go to a crop or a retreat to stay sitting down. I find that when I stand up I have a better overview of a page by looking from above, so to speak. And it's so I actually have a desk in my room that is raised, a bit like a breakfast bar, which means that I can stand whilst I scrap. The other key I find about standing to scrap is I actually pick up other things. I know that sounds a little bit odd, but it means that actually if I want to punch or I want to die, I feel like I'm halfway there because I'm already standing up. If I was sitting down, I'd probably think, do I need to get that? Do I really need that? But actually, by standing, I definitely feel that I use more of my tools and my supplies. I don't know whether you find that, whether you sit or you stand. I'd be interested to hear in the comments how you do it when you scrapbook. So I'm still fiddling with this title. I think I'm finally sticking it down. There it goes. I only put a couple of foam pads on the back of these. There's only one on this one, so that way I can still tuck things underneath, and I prefer them not to be stuck to my photograph, just to lie over the top. I think it gives it a little bit more depth if everything's not stuck down completely, and also it's easier to move if it's not quite where you want it to be. So that's sun being stuck down on a lower foam pad, so to speak. So I'm just tucking that in under the title. There's so many really nice elements to this range, particularly within that die cut set. Gives you lots of options of what sort of photographs you could scrap. I don't think you can see that little tag. It says "So Lovely." Yeah, so that's when the blue house makes way for the pink one. I think a couple of clouds to go with that. These were cut with the metal dies, I think I mentioned earlier. I've had various die cutting options over the years. I've had a Sizzix for longer than I can remember. Because I was a card maker before I was a scrapbooker. And I used to use, obviously they were in fact probably the only die maker at one stage. And I used to have lots of theirs and their alphabets. And then I bought a Silhouette, and I still have the original Silhouette, which is still, touch wood, going strong and not causing me any problems. And I stopped using my dies for a long time. And then they seem to have come back into fashion again. And they're perfect for little bits. I have mine set up on the top of a wheelie trolley. You know, the ones you could get in Hollywood Craft and IKEA. I have like a cutting board on the top of my trolley. And on top of that is my Sizzix, which means that I don't need to get it out. If I need to cut something, it's already like prepared. So I just need to flick through my folders and my dies, find out what I want, and it's literally all ready to go. It takes the effort out of getting a machine out, and sometimes it's just, if you have to make more effort because time is precious, you don't bother. So mounting my Sizzix on top of this trolley has definitely been a good move. When I finally get completely finished and tidied up, I may share a craft room tour with you guys, so you can see where I'm sat at the moment, and you can give me your opinion on the storage systems that I've got. But sometimes it's a bit too messy to be sharing. So I'm just adhering these last few bits down. If they don't need a foam pad, I'm just adding a bit of double-sided tape. It's hard to believe that sticking down about 10 different bits and pieces can take me so long, but I enjoy the process. And I definitely think as I go along, make a few changes. Sometimes I even go make a cup of tea, come back, have a think, or leave them overnight. I work shifts, so I don't always get to scrap every day. So sometimes something sits on my desk unfinished, and when I get a chance, I have a think about it and see if there's anything that I would like to change. This little tag's obviously giving me a little trouble. I think it's just getting it between the layers that I've matted the photograph on. So the last foam pad, not I'm being stingy reusing them, they barely were stuck to the back of the photographs, were they? So let's get this cloud into position. I do like a bit of depth with my embellishments. I tend to use foam a lot. Something I've seen in other videos that I've watched, which I've never tried, which I'd like to try, is I'd like to use foam sheets to raise photographs. So I certainly want to think about doing that in the future. So here's some close-ups of the finished page. So I hope you can see the stitching. I know it's nice and subtle, but it is certainly there. Very easy, just 4 stitches, very easy to learn, and here's the finished layout. Thank you so much for watching. Bye now.